Welcome, everyone. Let's talk about in vitro fertilization, or IVF. For so many people, the whole world of IVF can feel really overwhelming. Like you've been handed a complicated map, but with no instructions on how to read it. Well, today, we're going to change that. We're going to break down this entire journey into a really clear step-by-step roadmap. So if you're thinking about this journey and feeling a little lost or unsure of what's coming next, I want you to know you are absolutely not alone. The truth is, the IVF process is almost always longer and way more complex than people first think. So our goal here is to just pull back the curtain, demystify the whole thing, and give you a clear map so you can navigate whatever comes your way with confidence. All right, so here's how we're going to walk through this together. First up, we'll look at the big picture, the actual roadmap and timeline. Then we'll talk about gathering your supplies, which really means all the essential tests you need to get started. After that, we are diving deep into the medication phase, the marathon part. Then we'll figure out how to understand the results, the embryo puzzle, and maybe most importantly, we'll finish by talking about how you can be the captain of your own ship. Okay, let's dive right in. The very, very first step in all of this is getting a handle on the true timeline. I can't stress this enough. Getting this right from the very beginning helps manage your expectations and really prepares you for the road ahead. A lot of people are really surprised to hear this, but even in the absolute best case scenario, we're talking a single successful cycle, you're looking at a commitment of about 4 months. Yep, 4 months from start to finish. This isn't a quick fix. It's a dedicated process for sure. So how does that 4-month journey break down? Well, it's best to think of it in distinct building blocks. Month 1 is all about gathering data and doing a ton of testing. Then that's followed by a 3-month block, and that's for the first embryo creation and transfer cycle. Each piece has its own specific purpose and its own timeline. So, with that 4-month map in our minds, let's zoom in on the next stage, gathering supplies. But we're not talking about things you buy at a store. Before a single medication is even prescribed, your doctors need to collect crucial data. This is the foundation. Everything else is built on top of this. And this is exactly why that data is so critical. Your IVF plan, your protocol, should never, ever be a generic one-size-fits-all kind of thing. It has to be tailored specifically to you, to your body, and that can only happen when it's based on concrete information. This crucial information really comes from 4 key pillars. First, there's an ultrasound to count your antral follicles. We'll talk more about those in a second. Second, you've got blood work to check your hormone levels and assess your ovarian reserve. Third is a semen analysis to understand the male side of the equation. And finally, genetic carrier screening for both partners to check for any inherited conditions you wouldn't want to pass on. Okay, let's zoom in on that antral follicle count, or AFC. I love this analogy. The best way to think of these follicles is as tiny little egg houses. So during that ultrasound, if your doctor counts 10 follicles, then getting 10 eggs is the absolute best case scenario, top of the mountain goal for that cycle. It's such a vital reality check that helps set realistic expectations from day one. Okay, now we are entering the active phase. This is the part of the journey people usually think of when they hear IVF. It requires daily commitment, super precise timing, and honestly, a pretty deep understanding of what's happening inside your body. So the embryo creation cycle itself is roughly 6 weeks long. But here's the interesting part. Your active role, the daily injections and all those frequent trips to the clinic for monitoring, that's all packed into the first 2 weeks. After your part is done, the next 4 weeks are when the really critical microscopic magic happens inside the embryology lab. This brings us to a concept that you absolutely have to understand to keep your sanity. I call it the funnel effect. At every single stage of this process, from the follicles they see on the screen, to the eggs they retrieve, to the eggs that are mature, to the ones that fertilize, and finally to the ones that become developing embryos, the numbers will naturally go down. It's so important to know this isn't a sign of failure, it's just the normal, expected math of fertility. Okay, you're going to hear the word protocol thrown around a lot. So what on earth is it? Well, it's actually pretty simple. Just think of it as the specific recipe of medications your doctor chooses for you. See, in a natural cycle, your body puts all its energy into maturing just one egg. A protocol's job is to gently override that system and encourage a whole group of your available eggs to mature all at the same time, which really maximizes the potential of that cycle. Let's move on to what is often the most emotionally intense part of the whole journey. Getting the results back from the lab and trying to make sense of everything, especially if the news isn't what you were praying for. If you go through an entire cycle and don't get the outcome you hoped for, it is so important to ask the question, why? It's not about blame, it's about understanding. And the answer isn't just one thing. It usually falls into one of two very different categories. And knowing which one it is, well, that's everything. So the answer to why really boils down to two main possibilities. On one side, you might have a protocol issue. That just means the medication recipe wasn't a perfect fit for your body. And the good news is that can often be adjusted next time. On the other side, it could be a genetic issue. This means the protocol might have worked perfectly, but the eggs themselves were the limiting factor, and that's something a different medication recipe can't fix. This is such a tough but important distinction to understand. A protocol's only job is to retrieve the eggs that are there. It can't change their internal DNA, it can't fix their genetics. This means you can have a textbook perfect stimulation, do everything right, and still have a disappointing outcome because of age-related genetics. And all of this brings us to the most empowering part of our roadmap. This journey might be guided by doctors and scientists, but you are the captain of this ship. And being the captain means taking charge by asking the right questions. You are not just a passive passenger here. Look at this slide. This is your advocacy toolkit. At every single monitoring appointment, you have the right and the power to ask questions just like these. Ask if the response is what they expected. Ask them to redefine your expectations based on the new data. You can even ask if you should consider canceling the cycle. This changes everything. It turns the process from something that's just happening to you into a real partnership with your medical team. This is such a huge mindset shift. The word canceling sounds like failure, right? But it's not. As this says, sometimes canceling a cycle that's not going well is the kindest, most strategic decision you can make. It allows you to save your precious resources, your money, your emotions, your physical energy, and redeploy them for a future attempt that has a much, much better chance of success. It's a smart move, not a failed one. Please, you have to be your own biggest advocate. The official medical guidelines are very clear on this. Ovarian reserve numbers, like a low AMH level, should not be the only reason a clinic turns you away or denies you the chance to try IVF with your own eggs. If you're told no, you deserve a crystal clear explanation, and you always have the right to get a second opinion. Look, there is no doubt that this path is a challenge. It's a marathon, not a sprint. But understanding the map, knowing the road ahead, like we've laid out today, that is the most powerful first step you can take. By taking the permissible means, using the science and medicine available, you equip yourself with knowledge and the power of advocacy. This allows you to make the best possible decisions along your journey while always putting your trust in a law SWT for the final beautiful outcome.